Hi, welcome to my garage today. We're doing an oil change on a 2009 Nissan Versa. We've had this car about 7 years or so, and I daily drive it to work every day. I've been doing synthetic oil changes since we got it at about 30,000 miles. It's got 144,000 right now. Only main issues we've had with this car is the dreaded CVT transmission going out in it. So I replaced that last year with a new remanufactured from Nissan. Other than that, we've had zero issues with the car, which is good. I've been utilizing 5W30 Mobil 1 synthetic oil, which is what we got today. So we also got a Mobil 1 filter, which was part of the special at the local auto parts store today. Tools you're going to need for this job: I have my Makita with a 10mm socket. You can obviously use just a wrench or socket, regular socket wrench if you don't have a drill. Just makes it a lot quicker. That's to pull the panel off underneath, as well as the flathead screwdriver to pull the little clips. We also got a 14mm wrench to pop the drain plug loose, and then a oil filter wrench we got from Harbor Freight. Works pretty well for pulling the oil filter. So if you want to do this yourself, part number for the filter we have for the Mobil 1 is the M1108. This is a 108A, which is the extended performance version. And then I use Mobil 1 5W30. Nissan calls for 5W30 oil. So I've just been using Mobil 1 since we've had the car and haven't had any issues with that. So we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start underneath the car. My shop's a little packed right now. I got my lawnmower and stuff in here as it's raining outside. Being Florida, those afternoon rain showers. So we'll come underneath. The first thing you got to pull is this panel that goes across this front panel. This allows access to the oil filter. So as you can see, you got 10mm bolts here. There's 4 of them all the way across, and then these little plastic clips. So we'll go ahead and pop those off first and get this panel out of the way. Alright, with the pan out of the way, threw it down there. See, now you have full access to the oil filter here. These cars are really easy because the oil filter is right down here on the bottom, and then your drain plug's on the other side. So you can actually drain the oil out of the drain plug and still have your pan and pull the oil filter at the same time, which is very convenient on this car. So we'll go ahead and first get a pan, drain. This is a 14mm here. We'll drain this out and then pull our oil filter here. Alright, it's finishing up draining. One thing I wanted to point out, these have a copper like crush washer, I guess you could call it a washer. They're very thin. They start off like a double tier washer and then they crush super thin. They recommend replacing these every time. I don't replace it every time. I've never had a leak out of the drain plug. I may have replaced this washer, I don't know, 3 or 4 times since 30,000 miles. So I've never had an issue with them leaking, so I just kind of leave it on. They're kind of a pain to get off too once they crush. So we're just going to leave it on there, and it should seal just fine. Alright, so these cars call for about 4.1 quarts with an oil filter change. That's not always the same on every vehicle. Everything I've read, that it'll tell you one thing, but some cars take more, some cars take less. It's always been the case in every vehicle I've ever owned. So I'll usually do about 4 quarts or so, and then we'll pull it off the ramps here, we'll back it up, and then we'll check it. But I believe typically this car takes about 4.5 quarts or so, or a little over 4.5 quarts. So we got a 5-quart jug here, so we'll fill it up with this to about 4 quarts, then we'll back it off, we'll run it, let the oil circulate through the filter and everything, and then we'll double check everything, and then refill and top off as necessary. Okay, it's about 4 quarts there. Okay, once we have the drain plug tight and the filter tight, we'll go ahead and put this panel back on. So like I said, it's 4 10 millimeter bolts here, 10 millimeter heads, and 4 little plastic clips. Alright, we backed it off the ramps and we let it run for a little bit, about like 30 seconds or so. So go ahead and check it and see where it's sitting. I'm assuming probably about a 1/2 quart short. I don't know if you can see that, but we're right in between the high and low marker on the dipstick. Double check it one more time. Right in between high and low, so we'll add a little bit more. Usually they say if you're between the 2 marks, that's usually good to go, but just like to be a little safe, I'll add a little more. I like to be on the high end of that mark. Okay, we're right at the high mark on here, so she's good to go. About 4.5 quarts is what this car takes. Always want to double check, don't always go off of what they say online. Always want to double check, car specific. So it's about 4.5 quarts for this car. So she is good to go and ready for about another 4,000 miles.